Hey everybody, and welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Criterium du Dauphine, which is pretty much one of the biggest preparation races for the Tour de France this year. We've got Poggi, we've got Jonas, we've got Remco. But before we get into that and the stage profiles, just to remind, obviously, because the stage races don't happen very often, that if you want to go pick up your wall chart, obviously, because we've all done the Giro d'Italia, you can fill out this nice bottom part. I've been filling out mine throughout the season, and it's just a great way of keeping track of the teams that you've made throughout the years, some of the better picks or worse picks that you've made, and seeing which teams really performed and pushed you up the rankings and which ones kind of might have hindered you a little bit. So 10% of the profits go straight back into VELOGAMES, and it's a great way to support this channel. So if you want to go pick yours up, I will leave a link in the description. But let's go take a look at the Criterium du Dauphine. It's 8 stages long, starting on Sunday. I've been waiting for the start list to be fully completed. Stage 1, we've got a lumpy parcours, taking in quite a bit of climbing actually, and especially this Côte de Buffon. 600 meters are like 9% inside the last 10Ks. Basically, it's going to be a matter of which sort of sprinters might be able to survive this, or whether sprinters are going to be worthwhile putting on, especially somebody like Jonathan Milan. I'm not sure if he'll make this day, but I definitely could be proven wrong. I'd prefer more of a versatile sprinter like, say, a Magnus Cort Nielsen or a Matteo Trentin or something like that, for example. Stage 2 looks a bit more, even though there's more climbing, because it's more loaded in the front end, I feel like it's got a better chance of being one for the sprinters, especially since the last 50Ks or so. Okay, yes, there is climbing in here, but it's not the steepest gradient, so I think stage 2 will also be, I think that'll be a sprint. I think stage 1 will be a sprint, but it'll be somewhat reduced. Stage 3, I think this could be a sprint as well, given the flatter nature of the final 50Ks, but this climb in here, the Chateau Jaune, that's a pretty brutal one, so it's hard to tell. I also think it could go to the breakaway, so it's a bit of a difficult one to predict, but it could be, if it's a breakaway, it could be a great chance to have a differential pick in there, which really pushes you up the rankings. Stage 4, we've got a 17K TT with a tricky climb in there as well, so, you're looking at Remco, Jonas and Pogačar, big surprise there. Stage 5, again a difficult one. Easier to control in the first half, but a harder kind of second half of the stage. Whether it'll be one for the sprinters or not, I don't know. I think, again, it's a bit like stage 1, probably one for the hardier sprinters, I would expect, of which there are quite a few in this race, so I expect multiple teams to be wanting to control that stage. Stage 6, we go up to Combloux. It's a GC day, pretty straightforward. Stage 7, again, also a big GC day. I mean, this is a stage that you'd see in the third week of a Grand Tour. It's super cool to see it in the Dauphiné. So, yeah, all GC day for sure. And then stage 8, I also see as a GC day because we're going up to like 2,000 meters. So, speaking of which, let's go talk about VELOGAMES. Pogačar is the most expensive at 28 credits. I still think he's worth it at this price. I do wonder where George will draw the line with Pogačar one day and just launch his price up. But I think Poggi realistically can compete in stage 8, 7, 6 and 4. And, definitely post, at least a top 3, I'd say, on each of these. So that's... that's 400 points plus the daily GC points. Mountains classifications, which he'll be up there for just by virtue of being up there, probably in the Valmenier or whatever. Yeah, I think Poggi will be getting close to like over 800 to 900 points if everything goes fine, so I think he's worthwhile. Jonas is a trickier one. You generally find, just by virtue of the fact that the second place riders don't get as many points as the first place riders based upon the scoring system. You generally find that the second highest priced riders don't end up being value for money, and Jonas is a bit of a trickier one. We haven't seen him in a little while. I think there's a little bit more question marks over him. I expect Tadej to be higher selected than Jonas, but I think that Jonas is still a podium candidate for this race, and I don't think the winning team won't include Poggy, Jonas and Remco. I just don't think it will. I think that you're going to need to be perhaps a little bit cleverer. I think there is some good value in the mid level of prices. So it's hard to say which one of these three you should be picking. I'd say Tadej for sure. You might want to pick a Jonas or a Remco. I think Remco gives a more solid TT, but doesn't do as well in the mountains as Jonas does. So I would say Jonas is safer than Remco, but Remco is more likely to get that TT win in there. And also you have to take into account that Visma Lease Bike also have Jorgensen here, who... Did Jorgensen win this race last year or was he second? I think he was second place, but anyway, the point being, yeah, Visma have got two options to play in here. I think Tadej you have to pick. Jonas is a maybe. Remco, I'm less certain about, just because in these warm-up races before the tour, like the Dauphiné last year, yes, I know he was in a crash, I think, but Remco he generally doesn't do amazingly, like in these warm-up races for some reason, but yeah, he's still a dangerous threat. So I think that all three of them have their upsides, and I certainly think that a team with Poggy and Jonas could do very well because you got quite a lot of good value in this mid-level. I just think that the way the scoring system works is that Jonas, if he ends up second place, will probably end up with 700 odd points versus Tadej's 800 to 900, let's say. Remco, I think, depending on where he ends up in GC, I certainly think he could end up near to Jonas, maybe somewhere between 600 to 700. Yeah, something like that. Jorgensen I like because obviously he generally does very well in the French stage races. He's won Paris-Nice this year and last year. And then he was second in the Dauphiné last year. So he's very good in French races. He's got good TT. He's very punchy. So I like Jorgensen for this race as well. I think he was 18 credits last year and he got over 1,000 points. So Jorgensen I think is good. You then end up with, C-Rod, Mass, Van Hils, I wouldn't be picking. I just think that C-Rod, considering that he's 2 credits less than Jorgensen, I much prefer Jorgensen. And Mass... you got riders who are cheaper, who I think are on the same level as Mass. Van Hils, for a puncher, he needs to be getting GC points to be worth it at 14 credits, and I just don't think he will be doing that. I think they've got Lipovitz here, who's a much better choice. So I don't think these three are that great. I think you've got Martinez and Milan. Milan obviously is the big temptation if you think that any of them are going to come down to a sprint, any of the stages, but I'm not confident in Milan for this race. I think there's a lot of climbing. And yes, I think he might compete in a couple of stages. But at 12 credits, you really need more than that for a guy who's this expensive. Martinez is a much safer choice. He showed himself in Romandy how good he is as a climber. He was going up against Almeida, who, let's face it, if he was in this race, you'd be putting as a top 5 candidate. So I think Martinez is very good value for money at 12 credits. Milan, I would rather Martinez will ultimately score more points than Milan, I think, if the scoring system is anything to go by and the stage is available. The 10 credit ride, he's got a weird blend. Bardet's coming off of the Giro, so's Max Poole, and then you got a lot of mid-level GC riders. Somebody like Boitrago is interesting. They say they're going for Martinez in their press release. Honestly, barring Victorious, I don't really know how much to make of their press releases anymore. I don't know how much to believe in them anymore. They say Boitrago will go for a mountainous stage win in a breakaway or something, which insinuates that he might drop out of GC or something, but they say Martinez is their main man for GC, so make of that what you will. I still think Boitrago, if he's in good form, will finish top 10 in this race. You've got Healy as a potential breakaway guy, which is, quite a good option. If anybody's going to win from a breakaway, I think it will be Healy. Finn Fisher Black will get a good TT in, and he's quite punchy as well, but they've got a team with riders who will sprint faster than him and climb better than him, so I'm not sure where he really fits in. I honestly think Lipovitz is a fantastic choice at 10 credits. This is a guy who was second place in Paris-Nice earlier this year. top 10 in the Vuelta last year. You know, I can't remember how many points he got in Paris earlier this year, but, you know, even in like Basque Country, he got 3rd place in that TT. Having Leibowitz is a great choice. Absolutely fantastic choice for a lot of teams. APP, okay, he'll lose out in the TT, but in theory, he should be getting over like 300 points in this race if he has a decent GC performance inside a top 10. Sheffield as well. You know, we all remember how good he was in Paris-Nice, scored lots of points there. I think he could do something similar. He's good over these steady terrain climbs, and I think there's plenty of these in this race. So Sheffield, yeah, he could be a bit of a dark horse maybe for GC, finishing in the top 10 like he did in Paris-Nice. Sivakov I don't mind as a Tadej Pogacar support rider to maybe snag a top 10 because of just helping Poggy and the assist points. So I think Sivakov is not bad. Soler probably not. Tullet probably not. You know, they've just got Jorgensen and Jonas here, who I think he'll be helping. I don't think he'd get that much freedom. Van der Poel is a big... Who knows, really. Got that, what was it, scapular injury in Nove Mesto in the mountain bike race. Apparently he's fine for this race from their medical staff. I don't know about Van der Poel. You know, after that wrist injury in that mountain bike race, how is he going to be treating this race? He usually lines up to win, but we have also seen Van der Poel turn up to stage races and he doesn't do anything. Is he just going to treat this as training miles ahead of the Tour de France? I really don't know. I think that at 10 credits you'd be safer going with a Boitrago or a Leibowitz or an APP or a Sheffield. I know that Van der Poel's got a lot of excitement about him, but he's got a bit of risk involved with picking him. So that's my limitation of picking him. But if he is in good form, he should be sprinting and he should be a very good pick. But I just don't know if that will be the case or not. So I don't know if anybody's got any insight. Put it in the comments for sure. The 8 credit riders, I like Court. He's usually very good in this race. He didn't win a stage last year. And yeah, he could put in a decent TT as well. Okay, we've got Van Schold here as another sprinter, but I think he might get dropped on many of these climbs. And I think Court will probably get the nod to do the sprints. So I like him. I think he's very good for a lot of these stages. I like Jeannier as well. He's a good versatile sprinter too. Hugo Page usually does bad all year, apart from in the Dauphiné where he gets top 10s. Don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Valentin Parapento, I think, is also, if he just helps out Remco, could come top 10, but he'll lose so much time in the TT. Paul Panoe, Piffy, and Watson as well are all in the bucket of versatile sprinter who should be getting like 3 top 10s pretty much, which might not net you that many points, depends where they finish, but they're all quite good. Page is the same, so they're all good choices. Seisas, I mean, gosh, who knows? I reckon a lot of people will be picking him. I don't know, to be honest, about him. Yeah, he is the big future talent for France. And Tour of the Alps, he was incredible. He was absolutely incredible there. Yeah, it's just whether can he back this up in a World Tour level stage race? Are there better choices, safer choices than him in the 8 credit brackets? Would one of the sprinters be a better choice? Ultimately, the GC tends to give you more points, so I'd say that he's worthwhile the risk at 8 credits, but I would argue that, say, Magnus Cort might get more points than him. Oh yeah, you got Ackerman here as well, but I think he'll just probably get dropped. So it's kind of like the versatile sprinters versus picking somebody like Martin, VPP, Ivan Romeo, Seisas as like semi-GC riders. You might decide to go with them. So I would say the GC is a marginally better choice based upon how the scoring works, but there's a lot of GC talent in this race, let's face it. So where will Seisas finish? I don't know. He might come top 10. The 6 credit riders, I like. I mean, Bardet had a very good Ardennes. He's punchy. I think Page will sprint for them, but I think Bardet is a really great rider. I think he'll probably get in the Tour squad. So I think that he's going to do something in this race. I bet. I think I just have a feeling. Other 6 credit riders, Fedorov, he does sprint, so. He got top 10 in a Paris-Nice sprint, so you could go with him. Fredheim, I think they'll go with Court or Van Schold, personally, as a sprinter. Jack Haig, actually, is a good choice, I think, because when you look back at his GC performances the last few years in this race, he's come top 10. I think he was 18th in GC last time with a top 10 in a stage. I think that Haig is, he's got a good history of this race, and I think at 6 credits, that's pretty good value for money. Who else have we got? We got Leknesson possibly for some breakaways and a decent TT to get a top 10 there. Mienkes as well, just for a top 20 in GC. There's Pollitt for the assist points and maybe a top 10 in the time trial. The 2 exciting French talents of Bierric Roland and Mathis Rondel. I mean, Rondel was top 10 in the Tour de Romandie, and that got him like 240 points, which is really good. That's like 40 points per credit, and that's good in a stage race. Can Rondel back it up in the Dauphiné? I expect he'll finish a bit lower down in GC, maybe more like a top 15, but I still think that he could get you somewhere near to 200 points, dare I say. Jake Stewart I like as well. Considering that I think Ackerman will get dropped on the climbs, I think Jake Stewart's had a lot of good form recently. I think he win a stage in the Quatre Jours de Dunkerque, so I like Jake Stewart for this race. It's worth noting that Lieseltrek don't have that many climbers. They've got a lot of support around Milan, so maybe somebody like Schoens or Gebrauchsgebier might get in the breakaway a little bit more. Julien Bernard possibly. I like Trentin. I think that he usually gets involved in these sprints, these tougher sprints. I think a lot of these stages are suited to him. Tronchon as well. I mean, he won Trobro-Lyon. That was the last race he did. So he's looking in fine form at the moment. I think he should get involved in the sprints for them. I think he came third in that sprint which Caleb Ewan won in Basque Country earlier this year. And Fred Wright as well and Valenshold will both be up there in the sprints too. Fred Wright probably a bit more certain than Valenshold, I expect. And then the 4 credit riders, honestly, I don't like that many. I might go for just assist points with Gradek for Baron Victorious. GC points, Bjorn Kort actually was good in Tour of Norway. Maybe he could get you some points. But honestly, or Pepin Reindlink for Remco Evenepoel assist points. So this is my team at the moment. We've got Pogacar, Lipovitz, Jorgensen, Lenny Martinez, Magnus Kort, Tronchon, Haig, Trentin and Stewart. I quite like it overall. I think that, I'm definitely tempted to try and get Jonas in here, but that would involve sacrificing Lenny Martinez more than likely down to an 8 credit rider. And I could do that. I could go with something a bit more with like Segsas and Jonas. I think that's certainly an option, or I might go with a little bit more of a sprinter orientated team and go with a Piffy or a Penoe, just because there's going to be like 4 sprints in this race, I expect, and like not 3 GC days where Segsas going to finish in those, how many points is he going to get from those versus the sprint. I think it's a close call, but I might go with a sprinter instead. But this is certainly possible as well. It just depends how much confidence I have in Jonas versus Jorgensen. I just think Jorgensen's actually looked really good this year. And, okay, is he going to be able to follow Poggi? No, probably not. But it gets me Martinez in here, who I think could be top 5. And I think is good value for money. So this is my team. I'm quite happy with it. It's very close to the first team that I made. So that's generally quite a good thing. My gut instinct generally does me quite well. But let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below. What sort of teams are you thinking of creating? And be sure to go check out the wall charts as well if you haven't got one already. And all that's left to say is to stay safe out there. And I will see you in the next video. Salut.